All right, yo, what's up? Welcome into Sportstopia, Fantasy Fire and Ice, NFL edition. Your host, Corey Parson, the fantasy executive. Got my guy High-Low with me. Shortly, we'll be recapping the slate, talking about some of the things that took place yesterday. I may have a couple of rants to get off my chest, you know what I'm saying? I think it's time for somebody to start telling the truth about Justin Herbert, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to get too worked up on that. First, my man Chris Torres is here as well. And Chris, if I hear this correctly, well, first, gentlemen, hello. How's everybody doing this good Monday morning?
Doing good.
What's going on?
Good. I'm glad everybody's doing well. I'm here. You know, I would have been doing better if the Rams could have helped me hit this 5-leg parlay. You know what I'm saying? Not really the smartest way to play it, but every now and then you take a lottery ticket and it falls short. But Mr. Torres, you, sir, have better news. You know what I'm saying? I heard that you had a pretty successful weekend in DFS this weekend.
I did, man. It was one of my better weeks. I mean, listen, I'll just say up front, I'm not like a huge NFL DFS guy. I'm someone who is more of like a casual player. I take it seriously, but I'm putting in $30 to $50 a week. So, I'm not.
That's not bad. Yeah. So you're not.
Yes. So, but yeah, this week I finished second in the Engage 8 tournament on DraftKings. Hit for $2,000 on just an $8 entry. So, it was a good week, and I just wanted to come out here and give a shout out to the Optimizer, which I just started using. I recently joined the team at Sportstopia, and I had been doing some baseball shows over there. I just want to, this is a great tool. The Optimizer was really helpful this week. I'll tell you, it saved my ass because the lineup, I'll tell you the lineup that I had.
Yeah, I want to hear the lineup. I want to hear how you avoided Bijan Robinson.
Bijan, I just honestly didn't love. I had him on my season-long team, so I'm like, I didn't want too much exposure to him. So, that's partially why I had him in no lineups this week. But I'll tell you the lineup. I had Lamar Jackson with Mark Andrews stacked. Brought it back with Jahmyr Gibbs, Jerome Ford, Marquise Brown, who, all right, he didn't do what I expected him to do. Josh Palmer, JSN, Travis Kelce, and the Browns defense. So that lineup scored 205 points. I'll tell you, the Optimizer
JSN was critical.
JSN, to me, he came in at 20% ownership or 19% ownership. I mean, he should have been like 40 to 50%. With Metcalf out at 3,900, I just thought, so I had initially had Kenneth Walker in this lineup in my flex. I did a late swap once I found out that Metcalf was going to be out because, man, JSN as a top 2 receiver on a team with the second highest implied point total, just to me at that price was a lock button play. So I thought he should have been higher owned. I had him in there. I wanted to bring it back with someone on the Cardinals. So I had Marquise Brown on the bring back. He disappointed with only 7.9 points. But he was definitely my lowest scoring player. And the Optimizer saved me from switching off of this lineup because I had initially thought about making an Allen to Stephon Diggs lineup.
You wouldn't have been here today.
Right. I definitely would not have been anywhere close if I had gone with that. And what I did, I went into the Optimizer, I looked at the projections, and I was shocked. Josh Allen actually was only at I think he was between 14 and 15 points projected, even though he was $600 more expensive than Lamar. And Lamar was projected at 20 to 21. So I'm like, you know what? I'm a baseball guy at heart, and I'm lean very heavily on projections. So when I saw that, I'm like, that's too big of a difference. Even if Josh Allen is going to be lower owned, I can't take that big of a difference in projections, given obviously that Allen was more expensive. So got me on Lamar, had to stack him with Lamar Andrews in that spot, at only 5,700. I knew he was going to be popular. I saw the Optimizer had him for 30% projected ownership. And listen, we know Mark Andrews' ceiling, right? So if Mark Andrews at that price has one of these ceiling games or even close to it, he's going to be a guy you need to be near the top of a tournament. So that's how I got on the Lamar Andrews stack and brought it back with Jahmyr Gibbs. So yeah, I mean, I think again, just using the optimizer and other parts of my process. I was telling High Low off air that I love 1 week season is another great DFS website. So yeah, it was a good week, and just trying to keep it rolling next week.
Yeah, no doubt, but definitely you see that contrarian edge optimizer. Pop that QR code up there. You see, you can be somebody who plays $30 to $50 on a given Sunday and put a little $2,000 in your pocket and last little money to clean up with as you get closer to the holidays. You know what I'm saying? So the contrarian edge optimizer right there in the flesh, getting the job done. Chris, good stuff, my man.
All right, man. Thank you, guys.
No doubt. Hold it down. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully be back there next week. I tell you what, High Low, it's like, I don't know. I felt pretty good about my own teams yesterday. You know what I'm saying? Like I had some Lamar. I knew Lamar would go hero ball. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I thought the Lions would be better than that, but I knew we had a hero ball Lamar coming, stacked it with Mark Jackson. And Mark Andrews, Mark Jackson. Can you imagine that? Hand down. Stack came back with Mark Andrews, right? I had some Jerome Ford yesterday, but then really, had some hits and misses with some other guys. You know what I'm saying? I didn't get that big number from a giant. I didn't go with Darren Waller. I went with the other targets. Like the team I had Waller on, I didn't have Lamar Jackson and Mark Andrews on. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it gets convoluted that way. You know what I mean? But no, shout out to our boy Torres. He did a good job.
Yeah, heck yeah, man. It was interesting hearing him go through that process. I was with you with the kind of the state of the slate. Really, we had a lot of fragility at the running back position. When you look at projections, when you look at kind of ownership projections, where we thought the field was going to be going, it seemed like the field was going to be looking for certainty at running back. So I kind of flipped that on its head in my own process. And I went heavy into Jerome Ford even after Kareem Hunt was ruled in. Yeah. I thought that was going to be a leverage stance. In the Millie Maker, Jerome Ford still came in at 23% ownership. So the leverage wasn't there. Looking back, I'd locked 50% Jerome Ford. Looking back, I might have changed that process. But the one guy that I went 40% extremely overweight on was Devonta Foreman. And that did wonders with his 3-touchdown game. But the whole, what led me to those type of plays, both of those guys being, priced pretty low on DraftKings, was just the fragility at the running back position based on projections, ownership. My biggest problem was I did not use that salary that it opened up on guys like Pat Mahomes, guys like Lamar Jackson. I used that on Cooper Kupp and Devontae Adams, who fell flat on their faces. Doubt. Yeah, so it was a very interesting week. I was highly unprofitable because I missed out on the top scores while playing a 6.9 fantasy point dud from Cooper Kupp. Devontae Adams came out, saw 6 targets on the first drive.
Away.
And then he didn't see a target again until the late to the third quarter. So yeah, it was just a weird week, man. For my personal process, I felt like the process was tight, but I was too restrictive in who I was spending that salary on that I opened up from those running backs.
Definitely was a tougher Sunday. Where did I go? Oh, there I am right there. My connections and everything is good. Sorry that happened, you know what I mean? But it looks like we're good to go right now. I think it might be a short in my microphone cord, whatever the case may be. Before we get into it, I got to talk about your background, right? I got to talk about the Green Bay Packers. Now,
oh man,
are you? No. I'm not gonna go there. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna.
I'll go there.
One Super Bowl and all of that, because I that's not fair. I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan, so I really
I'm sorry.
Relax. Really don't have too many legs to stand on, right? But I gotta ask every Packer fan. I always do you own a piece of the team?
I don't.
Why not?
I don't know, man.
It wasn't worth it. Not worth it. You know what I'm saying? How cheap can you get? How much does it cost to own a piece? Can you put up $20?
It depends. They release these stock share or whatever. They release them every few years. Sometimes it's longer. And so you have to be, it's not like you can just go any time, any place and go purchase a piece. You have to be like on a waiting list to get asked back. And it's similar to like looking at season tickets. If you want to go to a Packers game, you have to get secondhand tickets from a season ticket holder because all of the freaking tickets are taken by season ticket holders. And people in Green Bay will have a child and they'll put them on the waiting list for season tickets because it's that long. Like people will get access when they turn like 40.
Wow.
They had like their parents placed them on the waiting list for tickets when they were born, and they get like access when they're 40. So it's a similar thing with the ownership thing. You can get it like secondhand, but it's a piece of paper, man.
It's not worth it.
Yeah,
I've always had Lambeau fuel on my bucket list, but I want to go out there one of the freezing games in Lambeau. But I'm not gonna take my shirt off or nothing crazy like that.
Yeah.
I just wanted to be there and be like, oh, a bucket list, and then like go and stand in the lobby or something, or go get back in the car. You know what I mean? Because I'm not gonna be out there in that weather too much. You know what I'm saying? But
it is definitely an experience. I went to a game. It was the last game of the season in 2009 season where they were playing Matthew Stafford in like his second or third season. They still had big names, but it was like January 3rd game in Lambeau. And Lambeau is an old school stadium. Yeah. They don't have like comfy seats and shit. It's they have the metal bleachers that you see at like high school stadiums. So like it had snowed 2 feet before. They pay like the members of the community $10 an hour to go shovel snow the morning of a game.
And they would have did it for free too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Hell yeah. But it's a feeling unlike anything else over in Lambeau or over in Green Bay on a game day. They have the team will go around to the hotels in the area the night before the game and just hang out because they know that the hotels in the area are just packed with Packers fans that are going to the game. So like on my hotel, it was the offensive line that came out, so it was pretty cool getting to meet those guys. But it's legit a football town and then farming. that's all it is in Green Bay.
I can imagine.
It's pretty cool it's definitely an experience that you should go do, bucket list type thing for sure.
House of Horrors for me, obviously Dez caught it in that corner, that end zone down
there. Yeah, he caught it.
That one right there would have changed the dynamics of the Tony Romo's career, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And then Al Harris getting undressed by Plexico Burress in the NFC Championship game allowed those disgusting Giants to figure out a way to sneak their way into a championship. Yeah. So hasn't really been good, you know what I'm saying? But a lot of people don't know it's named after Curly Lambeau, the one of the Green Bay Packers original coaches. So shout out to the Green Bay Packers for what it's worth. You know what I'm saying? All right, let's get into it. What happened yesterday is where we'll start at. And I don't know, let's start in Detroit. Let's start with Detroit and Baltimore. Hero ball, Lamar goes crazy yesterday. Just about everybody gets it done. Andrews, Flowers, Odell got his work in, you know what I'm saying? Then you come back to the other side. Jared Goff and the Lions took that loss, but you still was pretty satisfied with Laporta, St. Brown. Gibbs got his first NFL touchdown. But from the Lions standpoint, they step up in weight class and they look like the Detroit Lions. You know what I'm saying? We thought these losses like this were behind Detroit, and I still think they are, but I think that Baltimore's an elite team and Detroit was playing back-to-back road games.
Yeah, and what was most telling for me from this spot was the fact that Detroit's defense did not look like they had in the past. This has been a defense that had been top 3 against the run. They had held their own against the pass. They transitioned their defensive scheme this offseason away from a man-heavy unit, and now they have the personnel to play a more zone-heavy unit. Their blitz rates fell off a cliff looking at last year to this year, and that's because they can generate organic pressure up front. I mean, you have these guys that are able to beat single coverage. You have these guys who are able to beat when they're doubled up. So, and then they really made strides in the linebacking unit, and we were all laughing when they used a first-round pick on a linebacker. But this unit is complete at this point. They're playing as a complete unit. So to see them go down 28-0 in the first half, to see them just get basically walked off the field before they really did anything on offense as well, was really the telling piece, because the Lions are a no joke complete team right now.
Yeah, they're legit. They just
Yeah.
And listen, it's easy to say that. Obviously, I text my my new Lions buddies. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The Lions, the hype train bandwagon is growing, and I'm like, people, me, I take it. Oh, the Lions, third best team in the NFC. All right, relax. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And and I'm like, relax. Let's not get carried away. I still think this Detroit team is a division round NFC playoff team.
Yeah.
I don't think this is a championship round team, though.
Yeah, that's exactly. I think you captured the whole feel of this Lions team is when they get punched in the mouth, when they're controlling a game, it's very easy for them to do so. And what they're really missing on offense is that downfield threat. And we keep thinking that it's going to be JMO. We keep thinking or wanting a guy like Khalif Raymond to be more involved. I mean, he runs a sub 4.40 as well. But they're really missing the ability to stress an opposing defense in the vertical, which is going to open up things underneath for Amon-Ra St. Brown, which is going to open up things underneath for Sam Laporta and Jahmyr Gibbs. Until they start in earnest attacking downfield, we could see teams that are good at defensive scheming, like the Baltimore Ravens, who in their own right are able to generate pressure. And we know kind of Jared Goff splits when he's pressured and when he's not. He turns into a pumpkin when he's under pressure, and he looks like a Hall of Fame quarterback when he's kept clean.
Sitting back there in that controlled environment in that dome, he
Yeah,
can tear you up. But you
for
get him
sure.
outside, in some element. Even though yesterday ended up being a little bit windy in the Mid-Atlantic, but nicer than what people thought it was going to be.
Yeah, for sure. So I don't know if teams are able to sit in zone and kind of scheme away or even go man up. You look at Amon-Ra St. Brown splits against man and zone, and he kind of turns into a little Cinderella effect against man as well. But he absolutely just Goff to Amon-Ra St. Brown against zone coverage. They're just going to shred it up. So they need that kind of vertical threat to be pushing teams, to be keeping safeties deep, to be opening up the middle of the field behind the linebackers in front of the secondary, to give these guys some room to work. Because right now, their top three skill players in Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam Laporta, and Jahmyr Gibbs all kind of have this overlapping kind of area of the field that they're working. So until they're able to stress the opposition deep, they can use Khalif Raymond in that role. He's fast. He can go manipulate safeties. He can go run those routes. I think they want JMO in that role, obviously, but he's not necessarily quite there yet from a route running perspective.
If you was to redraft season-long fantasy football team today, would a Baltimore Raven running back be on the final team?
I don't think so. We're seeing Gus Edwards. We're seeing Justice Hill. They know kind of what they have. They have significant reps with this team. And it's difficult to see which one on a weekly basis is going to be the guy. They know that what they have this highly efficient but early down grinder in Gus, the bus here, but they also have Justice Hill, who is capable of running off tackle, off guard, and they're able to run those kind of stretch motion type running plays with a guy like Justice Hill. And it depends week to week on the game plan and how they're going to utilize those two. And it becomes very difficult from a redraft perspective to know who to plug in that situation.
Yeah, no doubt. It definitely does make it much more difficult. And I'm with you on that one right there. Are the Ravens an elite football team?
I think they can be. They're not there, and they don't have to be in week 7, right? But they have the pieces to be an elite team. Then we talked about their defense. They're playing more rates of zone coverage than we've seen from this unit in the past, and that obviously dates back to 2 years ago with the defensive coordinator change. But they're able to generate pressure, and they're getting healthy on defense, which is a big piece for this team. They've had secondary injury issues for the past 3 seasons. So getting these guys healthy, getting these guys playing together now, getting those communication issues hammered out that come with increased zone rates on defense will give this team the ability to control games and win how they want to. What was most interesting to me is the Ravens on offense have not really exhibited tendencies to where they are attacking an opposition's weaknesses up until this past week. So what we've seen is very low pass rate over expectation numbers. We've seen inflated rush numbers, and they kind of have just grinded out these victories. This was really their first test of the weekend, or of the season, sorry, in week 7. And we saw them for the first time kind of lean into Lamar Jackson and stretching an opposition over the middle of the field and stretching them downfield. So that to me signals that this team is not just going to be, your standard Harbaugh team where they're kind of looking to grind out victories. They're looking to just keep the game close into the fourth quarter and then they'll go win it then. This team is capable, if they see the need for it, to really open things up, which, to me tells a complete team, and they're kind of coming into their own now.
Yeah, shout out to the Baltimore Ravens getting it done yesterday. At least throwing some water on that Detroit Lion hype, at least for the time being. Let's head up to MetLife Stadium. Washington Commanders, New York Giants. New York Giants get a 14-7 divisional win at home. I think Ron Rivera now falls to 1-6 ATS, 2-4-1 straight up, and his tenure as the DC head coach versus the New York Giants. The Giants, even through their lean years, finding a way to handle and take control and really beat the New York Giants. The Washington Commanders. Interesting to talk about this one right here. Another spot, back-to-back road games. This time the Commanders go on the road and take the loss after having that good performance down in Atlanta last week. What sticks out to me in this one, Washington on third down, 1 for 15. They could not stay on the field. The quarterback got sacked every time the Red Zone channel went to the game.
Yeah.
This is going to cause Ron Rivera to lose his job.
I think so. I think he's been on thin ice for a couple of years now. And ownership is, especially the previous ownership, kind of giving him the benefit of the doubt. But with new ownership in town,
You
with
think it
this
was
team,
the benefit of the doubt, or you think they knew this is not my place to make this call right now because I'm not going to be here?
I don't know, to be honest. It feels like previous ownership didn't care.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like, whatever.
Yeah.
They about to wrap me up soon. So let the next guy deal with it.
Yeah, for sure. But new ownership going out, getting Eric Bieniemy is a positive. It kind of has the feel of, hey, let's go sign Eric Bieniemy with the intent or with the potential for him to step into the head coaching, depending on how he does.
Well, I think Bieniemy was hired under Snyder, though.
He was. Yeah, he was.
Yeah, he was. That's correct, right?
Yeah. Which is,
I don't think Bieniemy's going to be the head coach.
I think Bieniemy, the last piece, obviously there's something wrong with Bieniemy, whether it's his ability to portray like how he wants to run a team in an interview. But he's had multiple head coach interviews for multiple years in a row now. And I think that him taking this offensive coordinator position is like that final piece to prove his ability to perform or have his team perform outside of the umbrella of Patrick Mahomes and in that whole
Andy
umbrella.
Reid,
Andy Reid, the whole umbrella there in Kansas City. So I don't know, man. It's honestly like it's a weird situation with the amount of changing pieces behind the scenes that they've had in Washington. And I don't know how they're going to handle it going forward, but it has this feel of, we might see some changes, whether that comes mid-season or whether that comes after the season. I don't know.
Yeah, I think Josh Harris and that group will probably wait till after the season, evaluate there and figure it out. And then Bieniemy is going to be an interesting piece because obviously, you could see the fan base wanting to keep him in town. What's interesting to me, well, not really interesting because, I kind of know the particulars of the team that we're looking at right here. But Mr. Jahan Dotson, he had a lot of people was in on him coming into the season, and he's been terrible so far this year.
Yeah.
He does have 1 touchdown reception. He has 22 catches on 39 targets, 183 yards. It's some games where he's not even a part of the offense. I said coming into the season, he was a better commander than he would be for your fantasy team, meaning that he makes big plays for the team, not really for your fantasy team. And now he don't even make big plays for the team.
Yeah, I think this is probably the biggest issue contributing to Jahan Dotson's season is the offensive line and the inability to protect. And Sam Howell, I kind of hyped him up coming into this year as a plus pocket presence quarterback. a lot of the industry kind of viewed him as this highly mobile quarterback. That's not really his game. He has plus pocket presence, and he's able to extend plays. So I'm not comparing him to somebody like Patrick Mahomes, but I think about his rushing and hit the upside with his rushing game, similar to how we think about Patrick Mahomes. He's able to extend plays. He's able to escape the pocket and get his eyes upfield and escape downfield if he needs to. But he's not a guy that's going to be looking to tuck and run at the first kind of hint of pressure. The problem this season, they have not protected well, and that ability has kind of dried up. He has not shown the ability to
sack 40 times.
Oh my God, he's on a historic pace.
Yeah,
he's on a historic pace, and that was kind of one of the things that I kind of lauded him for, is the ability to like have this pocket presence, extend plays, and then run if he needs to. That is completely dried up. I don't know if that's Eric Bieniemy. I don't know if that is some other situation that they're trying to turn him into this pocket passer type quarterback, a la Justin Fields. What's going on with Luke Getsy this season? But the ability, his pocket presence has completely gone out the window, and that has really, really hampered this team's ability to move the football downfield, to have guys like Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson. I mean, you look at Terry McLaurin's ADOT, and it's down from last season, and that's probably because this team cannot protect the quarterback, and Sam Howell just looks lost back there.
Yeah, nah, he does. It looks bad, you know what I'm saying? And they'll float around and win a couple games here and there, you know what I'm saying? They'll do just enough to keep you interested until late December, and then they'll go ahead and clear out. Now, you won't be interested in the New York Giants in late December. This thing has regressed. Daniel Jones, I'm hearing this neck injury is a little bit more serious than they're letting on. Yeah. But obviously, you know, Saquon under 4 yards of carry yesterday, did leave the game at one point. Tyrod Taylor did manage to throw 2 touchdown passes. Darren Waller had a good game. So you can say, okay, well, this offense is turning the corner. When I would say, no, that Commander defense can give it up to anybody.
Yeah. The one good thing that I think we've seen over the last 2 weeks from this New York Giants team is they're far less static in their offensive design. And I think Tyrod Taylor being at quarterback has allowed them, because he is a much more accurate downfield passer than a guy like Daniel Jones, has allowed them to kind of open up their offense. And while they're opening up their offense from a schematic standpoint, when you look at their personnel groupings, they're constricting things, which tells me this team has kind of found what they want their personnel to be. It's Saquon Barkley, it's Darren Waller in a near every down role, and it's guys like Jalen Hyatt, who has back-to-back weeks now of increased snap rates, increased route participation. Last week, he was on the field 73% of the time. He was in a route 80% of the time. So to me, this tells me Brian Daboll is telling us that he's done messing around with Sterling Shepard. He's done messing around with Isaiah Hodgins. And Isaiah Hodgins, even though he had 4 targets this week, he was not on the field until the fourth quarter when they needed a big-bodied X-type possession-style wide receiver to kind of march the field and run out the clock. So to me, Isaiah Hodgins is kind of on the outs. Sterling Shepard is on the outs. And this team very clearly wants to be Darius Slayton opposite Jalen Hyatt with Wan'Dale in the slot. And if that's going to be the case, there could be some fantasy upside there if it's going to be that condensed.
No doubt. I would agree with you on that one right there. The battle of the backup quarterbacks in Chicago with Bagnett and Brian Hoyer. Boy, I tell you what, the Bears 30-12.
Ooh, doggy.
It's just, oh man, I don't know. You take this one. This is not my area of expertise.
Yeah, Tyson Bagent.
Bagent.
He played well for his first NFL start coming out of a D2 school. I mean, they would not let this go. If you watch this game, I watched a little bit of this game, and
they keep bringing it up.
The announcers, the entire game, they're just like, yeah, this guy's out of D2. Let's see how he does. He held his own, and he was able. We talked about the kind of negative pocket presence of Sam Howell. Tyson Bagent looked good in the pocket, and he looked comfortable. He was able to escape. He was able to extend plays. There was one play where he had blindside pressure come off. He rolls out to the right, and he sees the pressure. Instead of stepping forward in the pocket, he does this loop around and tries to get around the pressure on the backside. He was able to throw the ball away to avoid the sack. But that tells me like this is still a rookie coming out of a D2 school. Like if he would have just stepped up into the pocket in the face of pressure, he would have had more room to keep his eyes downfield and kind of make those distributions. So he's not there. He's not there like long-term answer. He's not going to threaten Justin Fields once he's healthy. But he did enough, and he showed me enough to not take those sacks that are going to put them behind the sticks. And from Luke Getsy's perspective, the offensive coordinator there in Chicago, he called a good game to make sure that Bagent was not put in those long down and distance situations. He was calling quick screens on first down instead of just running into a wall with Devonta Foreman. He was calling quick screens to DJ Moore, picking up 4 or 5 yards, and now they're able to continue to march the field. And that was their game plan coming in, was to make sure that Bagent is not behind the sticks, making sure that he is not in a situation to take those bad sacks, to stall drives, to make those mistakes. So I got to give props to Luke Getsy here for at least putting his rookie quarterback out of a D2 school in a good position to look okay.
It sounds like you're saying that Getsy is not the problem. Maybe the problem is Justin Fields.
I don't know. I'm not going to go there just yet. I don't
Will you go
know.
here? Will you go here? If the Bears have the first pick in the draft again, they're not going to trade it.
Yeah, I'll buy off on that. Yeah, I'll buy off on that.
I'm not talking about the draft Marvin Harrison Jr. either. I'm talking about they need to get a quarterback.
Yeah, we'll see. That's such a hairy situation, man. I don't know what they're gonna do. I mean, we've had all kinds of talk coming out of the college quarterbacks this year about, I might just stay and sign an NIL deal. I'll make more money. I mean, come on.
They're trust me, they're coming.
I know, right? Yeah,
they're coming. No, don't buy it. Speaking of them coming, is one of them going to land on the Raiders? Or the Raiders the bottom of the league team?
I think they are. Yeah, this Raiders team is, and
is it the Raiders or the roster?
The Raiders' problem is their coaching. Josh McDaniels ain't it, man. He ain't it. They have some issues. And I say that because we've seen this team struggle to sustain drives. We've seen this team struggle in the red zone. We've now seen their alpha and elite wide receiver, first ballot Hall of Famer wide receiver in Devonta Adams, be outspoken. And he kind of doubled back on his words a little bit, saying like, yeah, I know what this team can be. I know that for us to be in peak performance, I got to be a bigger part of the game plan, right? He's not wrong. He's not wrong. And they tried to make good on that coming out. I mean, he had 6 targets on the first drive. This was a guy that they were clearly feeding. But then once they got punched in the mouth, Devonta Adams didn't see another target until the third quarter. He went the entire second quarter without seeing another target. It became Jacoby Myers 5 yards downfield for the entire second quarter. So this team needs to get out, I think, from Josh McDaniels. He is the issue. And Jimmy Garoppolo, we can say what we want about him. He's no elite talent. He's okay at distributing the ball, and he has plus vision. That's about it. He's not pushing the ball downfield, but you don't really need that with a guy like Devonta Adams on your team. So this is very clearly a coaching thing for me.
That's interesting. Right quick, you mentioned Devonta Adams, first ballot Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Would you say that Mike Evans is the first ballot Hall of Famer?
We have to consider Mike Evans as a first ballot Hall of
Famer. They're already the same draft class?
Yeah, they came in. And Mike Evans, he's going for his 10th season.
It's almost as like nobody talks about him on the level they do Devonta Adams, but he's just as good as Devonta Adams.
As a Packers fan, I would agree with that. I mean, Devonta Adams is a guy, they have differing skill sets. I mean, Devonta Adams is one of the smartest route runners and able to diagnose defenses that we've seen over the last decade. And his ability to, bring in the body positioning, the elite hands into that is very different from a guy like Mike Evans, who has that same vision, but he is utilized more downfield. And that is where he is at his best.
Yeah.
And we saw that in their game this weekend where he broke free and scored a 40-yarder as well. But yeah, Mike Evans, nobody ever in the history of the sport 10 seasons in a row of 1,000 yards to start their career, we have to start considering Mike Evans in that same tier.
Yes, it's interesting because you got a log jam because Holt's not in yet, Reggie Wayne's not in yet. Somebody else is not in. Is Holt's not in yet? Reggie Wayne's not in yet. Larry Fitzgerald is coming up. Steve Smith Sr. is coming up. And for what it's worth, Antonio Brown is coming up. You know what I mean? And those are all Hall of Famers. And Antonio Brown probably is the Hall of Famer of all the famous of all of them. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But that's going to be a fascinating discussion when they go and close that door to discuss Antonio Brown.
I'd like to be a fly on the wall for that one.
Yeah, for real. That's going to be a good one right there. I want to get as many comments out of you as I can on these teams and get some of your thoughts, you know what I'm saying, and then get a quick waiver wire thing and preview tonight before we get out of here. Deshaun Watson made the start yesterday, took a hit, got concussed after he threw a couple bad interceptions, really got saved by a flag on one of them. Then he got cleared from the concussion, but yet he still didn't come back into the game. The coach said it was for his own protection. He is having another MRI today on that shoulder. But I don't know how much basketball you may watch, sir, but I made the comparison that Deshaun Watson's career is on a Ben Simmons trajectory.
I could buy that as well. I could buy that. I'm not as in tune to basketball as I have been in the past. I am an NBA
don't
fan.
Play no more.
Yeah. I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
He was good, and then he wasn't.
He's good at distributing and laying the ball up. He can't shoot for shit, right?
Good at wearing outfits on the sideline.
Yeah. I'm tracking. I think that's a valid comparison here. Deshaun Watson has not looked good. I mean, you look at what he was doing. I mean, he was a top 5 quarterback before all the off the field shit was going on, right? Now you look at, he is not able to diagnose defenses. He is really struggling. And this is an interesting discussion because what happened to the league when he was going through that off the field stuff is we saw the transition to 2 high base sets from defenses. We saw, and that what that does to an opposing quarterback is it gives a very similar snapshot pre-snap. And then they're able to go quarters from there. They're able to go cover 2, cover 3. They're able to cheat a safety down and provide more of a cover 1 man look. But it all comes from a similar snapshot pre-snap. And this is the first look of Deshaun Watson getting to see that. So I don't know if that contributes to all the struggles that he's had this season, but he has not looked good at all.
Like, let me tell you what's so funny. Like yesterday, I'm sitting here, I'm watching the red zone like many of us are, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm not just going to be here locked into Browns and Colts, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm sitting up here, and then then Scott Hansen takes us to the dome and Indy, and I see Deshaun Watson in the shotgun, and I'm like, this is going to be an interception. And it was an interception.
Yeah.
And then when they went back, it was another interception. And I'm like, they only go to this guy to show interceptions, you know what I'm saying? So I'm like, okay, maybe he's still hurt. You know how everybody always got to give him some time, He hasn't played like 10 games now. How much time do you need? You know what I mean? But you're the first that mentioned that the style of offense, you know, and defense kind of changed the past couple of years, and maybe that's what's hindering him.
Yeah, I think that we have to start thinking about, like, is this something more than just Deshaun Watson? And I point to the shift, pretty much league-wide shift to a 2 high shell. I mean, we're seeing 2 high at like 60% rate across the league. That's for all these different reasons. And Deshaun Watson is really getting his first look at that kind of defensive shell this year. And we're seeing with the abridged offseason, with him not playing in the preseason, we're seeing like this is his first look at this kind of defensive shell, and he is really struggling with it.
What worked well yesterday for the Patriots that haven't worked the first month of the season?
I couldn't tell you, man. I didn't watch that game, and I haven't had a chance. Typically, I like the games that I didn't watch. I like to go back and watch the all 22 to see kind of I want to see snapshots of defenses, how they are aligning. I want to see snapshots of how the offense is kind of counterbalancing or counteracting that. And I don't know just yet, but for the first time in a long time, this Bill Belichick defense was able to minimize Stephon Diggs. this is a guy, and we know Bill Belichick defenses are always going to try and take away your top weapon.
Is that
They have
still
not
a thing?
it is still a thing. And they have
Okay.
not been able to do that against Stephon Diggs. They have not been able to slow this man down. You look at his production against this team over the last 4 seasons, they have not been able to slow Stephon Diggs down. They were able to mute his production for a good 3 quarters here until the Bills were kind of in desperation mode. That's when his touchdown came. So I don't really know. I can't speak too intelligently on it because I didn't watch that game.
Okay.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you, man. I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. I'm curious. Okay, so I asked you about the Buffalo Bills.
Mm-hmm.
Are they closer to the Kansas City Chiefs or to? Let me think of somebody. Is Buffalo closer to Kansas City or are they closer to Pittsburgh?
They're closer to Pittsburgh. And I think we need to be honest with that fact. What this team is trying to do is they are trying to force opposing defenses into base coverage sets. And they're doing that through extreme rates of 12 personnel. We know that they drafted Dalton Kincaid for a reason. They're going to use him. They're going to be trying to integrate him into their game plan. But what they're trying to do with 12 personnel is they're trying to force teams into base coverage. So that includes 3 linebackers on the field. What teams are doing is they're like, we know that Dalton Kincaid is going to be in a route, and we're just going to throw nickel at you. And so they're not able to accomplish what they're trying to accomplish from the other team. And until they do so, we're going to see this team continue to struggle. Yeah, like Stephon Diggs is it. He is him. He is always going to be out there and be elite. Yes, Gabe Davis had a string of 4 games in a row with a touchdown, but Gabe Davis is still this guy that is the secondary complementary piece.
Yeah, he is still
and for
Gabe Davis.
Yeah, for him to be effective, they need him running downfield and manipulating safeties. We talked about too high. Well, how offenses are really like looking to leverage or exploit too high looks is pre-snap motion. So we've seen pre-snap motion be used at a rate the highest over the past 3 seasons this year. We see it being manipulated or exploited by manipulating safeties. So they need this downfield presence to hold a safety to the side of the field. And the rest is kind of over to the quarterback. His positioning, his hips, his eyes, his head movements in the pocket, because that's going to influence. That's why too high is so effective, is because you have these 2 defenders deep that are off, that have their eyes in the backfield. And now it's over to the quarterback to manipulate a safety, to hold him on the side of the field. One guy that is really, really good at that, go look at Geno Smith. He's actually very, very good at having his shoulders, his hips, and his head positioned to hold a safety to a side of the field. And then you'll see him whip back. Tua is another player who is extremely good at that. And you saw that on his touchdown pass to Tyreek Hill last night. Being able to, his hips are completely turned. He's a lefty, so his head and his hips completely turned to the right-hand side of the field. He'll snap back and in one motion throw it deep to Tyreek Hill in triple coverage, still completing that pass. Insane. But that's kind of what the Bills are lacking. Is they're lacking the ability to manipulate safeties downfield. They're lacking the ability to force a team into their base coverage set, and that would give them the mismatch over the middle of the field that they're looking for Kincaid, because Kincaid against linebackers is going to win, but Kincaid against a slot corner is going to win at a much lower frequency. So yeah, they're broken, and they got some stuff to figure out still.
Let me do a little rest of the season with you. ROS, George Pickens or Jay Flowers?
Zay Flowers.
George Pickens or Nico Collins?
Ooh, dude, that hits home. I'm a Nico guy. And I think for as long as Canada is in Pittsburgh, it's probably Nico.
Pickens or Michael Pittman?
Pickens for the upside.
Pittman or Calvin Ridley?
Ooh, damn, man, you're hitting hard. I think from a managed league perspective, probably Pittman, because he's going to be a little bit more consistent. But the upside there with Ridley is tantalizing. I got to go Pittman though.
I said Pickens or
Pickens.
Sorry, Pickens or Calvin Ridley?
Ooh, probably Calvin, just slightly. Same tier for me,
So
probably.
basically, you're saying that you think there's still some inconsistency to Pickens' game.
100%.
Okay.
100%. And it's not necessarily because Pickens has made some significant growth
I mean,
this year.
everything I saw last year was in practice. Now he's doing it in the game.
Yeah.
It makes me optimistic.
For sure. But I think he's going to need to get out of the umbrella of Canada there in Pittsburgh, because as long as Canada is there, their offense is going to look flat, because Canada is the easiest way to describe who Canada is as a coach is he is going to fit the pieces that he has into his offense. He is not going to look to design an offense to maximize the talent that he has. And until they get somebody that is seriously looking in earnest to maximize the talent that they have, they're going to be this kind of predictable flat type offense.
Okay, see that if we have time, I'll get back to that. What happened to your Green Bay Packers yesterday? They lose to
dude.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I got to bring it up because I was rooting for them. You know what I'm saying? I didn't put nothing on them. I did have some Jordan Love, Christian Watson stacks out there. Didn't really get too much done with those right there. But they scored 17 points. They came alive in the second half, but they still lost the game.
That's the same thing. That's the
kind of a trend.
Thing. Yeah, the same thing all season. So to me, that tells me that this offense is not game planning correctly, because there's really two aspects or phases of an NFL football game. You got your game plan, which is like the first quarter, you're going in there. This is how we planned to attack this spot. Then once you get punched in the mouth, you make those adjustments, and that's more game management.
And the fourth quarter is a different game altogether.
Correct. Yeah. So yeah, there's probably three phases, right? So the fact that we are seeing LaFleur's offenses struggle so much in the first half, beyond the first quarter, tells me that the game plans are trash and he's slow to adapt. So when you get a defense like, sorry, Broncos fans, like the Denver Broncos,
no, it's fine,
they have been historically bad. You get them shutting down your offense for an entire half of football, we got some issues. And don't say, yeah, they missed a field goal. They could have had 3 points. Okay, 3 points. Cool, man. We missed out on 3 points. This offense is broken. It's not all Jordan Love. This is a coaching issue as well. This is a game planning, game management issue as well. And until those are fixed, it comes from the top and it rolls downhill, man. Jordan Love has not been good. And he has been atrocious when under pressure. But you get a Denver Broncos team coming into town that has the second lowest pressure rate in the league, and you still look that bad. This is a coaching thing.
Interesting right there. Justin Herbert, I spend most of my, I do a lot of trending videos and stuff, to get clicks and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no shame.
Yeah, well, it is what it is. Real boisterous, trash talking, you know what I'm saying? Kind of in the Stephen A. Skip type, you know what I'm saying? And I'll open up Dak Prescott. I'll open up on Justin Fields. I'll open up on Watson. I'll open up on Mac Jones. And this morning, somebody said to me, how come you never open up on Justin Herbert? And I was like, you know what? I need to go in on Justin Herbert, because I understand. You know why you don't open up? Because first of all, they don't have no fans, because they're irrelevant. You know what I'm saying? They got 17 fans. The coach is a jackass. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But now I'm like, Herbert, you got to start taking some of the blame too for the team losing every game by 3 points. It's because you're not doing something. Then recently, the turnover bug is biting. 3 turnovers in the last 4 interceptions in the last 3 games. Justin Herbert has been protected from the national media. And what is the deal with Justin Herbert? He is not playing like an elite quarterback.
Yeah, and the Chargers are still trying to feel their way, I think. We've had all kinds of off-season stuff going on with the Chargers. They bring in Kellen Moore to kind of kickstart their offense. We thought that was going to lead to more downfield passing. We've seen a little bit of that, but with the emphasis now turning so much to this downfield look, and this is also a team that has played without Mike Williams for a majority of the season. Austin Eckler has been out for the majority of the season. So they're trotting out guys like Joshua Palmer. This is a team that now has to, over the next 2 weeks, they need to figure their stuff out because their season is slipping away. But they now have some consistency. We expect Austin Eckler to be fine off of his ankle injury. Now they know that they have to alter their game plan around Joshua Palmer instead of Mike Williams. So now these next 2 weeks are really going to be telling, I think, for who really Kellen Moore is, who really Justin Herbert is, who Keenan Allen is. And Keenan is still, even at, we'll say, quote unquote, his advanced age, he's still that dude for this offense.
He's getting it done. Yeah.
He's still getting it done, man. So once we get more looks of Kellen Moore with Austin Eckler and Mike Williams and kind of what this offense is going to be, I think we're going to see, I think we're going to see a turnaround. But at the same time, like with this new emphasis on downfield passing, I mean, you look at Justin Herbert's intended air yards per pass attempt. He's ranked 5th right now. So he is attacking downfield, but that is exactly what Steve Spags is going to be looking to take away. So when that tells me that Kellen Moore didn't really have the game plan for the specific opponent, he is kind of was slow to transition his game plan away from like, yeah, we're going to try and be this downfield attacking team.
Yeah. It's like the Giants aren't on your schedule no more, Kellen. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And you got a Steve Spagnuolo defense who is going to live in cover 2, cover 3 from too high base. They're going to force you to string drives together to march the field. They want to take away the big play. They were able to crack that code once on the downfield pass to Joshua Palmer. But yeah, this offense is going to need to be a little bit more adaptable for the specific opponent, I think, moving forward.
All right, what are we looking at as far as waiver wire options for this week? Anything jump out? It's tough.
Yeah, this week is kind of dry for sure. I mean, Devonta Foreman probably got picked up last week.
Yeah.
We probably have Roschon Johnson coming back, so he's less of an option as well. On that, like, I hope Roschon's okay, man. 2 weeks without practicing after concussion is not ideal. So hopefully,
it's not.
So hopefully he's all right, to be honest. But yeah, it's kind of dry out there in them streets for the waiver wire this week.
Waiver wire abyss is what it is. All right, Monday Night Football tonight. We have NFC matchup. San Francisco 49ers, the class of the NFC, versus the Minnesota Vikings. Ran up that big schedule. Ran up that big wins and loss record. Ran up that big record, last season. And then this season they came back and they are who we thought they were. Debo is out. Trent Williams doubtful. Christian McCaffrey questionable. Minnesota's good to go.
Yeah, this is obviously the big thing is Debo out, but I think what's going to go overlooked from a DFS perspective, whoever's playing Showdown listening, is Trent Williams being doubtful. And why that's important is because on the other side, we have Brian Flores, the madman, who's blitzing 20% more than any other team in the league this year. So he's going to be looking to bring the pressure. And typically what we've seen Shanahan do when that's the case is they have this the best all-around tight end in the game right now, who they utilize as an inline 6th offensive lineman when they see these heavy blitz rates. So the fact that Debo is out, I think people are going to get excited to play George Kittle. But when you look at how that aligns with the matchup and the blitz heavy ways of Brian Flores, I think we're going to see George Kittle be in line, and his route rate, which is about 86% this season, is probably going to take a hit for passing. So that the other interesting aspect, I think, of the 49ers is typically we've seen them go from like the 4 primary pieces. So you got your George Kittle, your Christian McCaffrey, your Brandon Ayuk, and your Debo Samuel. If one of those guys misses, they don't really emphasize the backup piece. It just becomes more constricted of an offense. So Brandon Ayuk against man coverage, against zone coverage, doesn't matter. He is winning, and he is showing a true breakout season. So Brandon Ayuk, extremely interesting to me. The other piece is last week when Debo Samuel got hurt, it wasn't Juwan Jennings that stepped into a featured role behind him. They brought in Ray McLeod, and that's interesting because Ray is this shifty, quick, fast kind of type wide receiver, similar to kind of what Debo Samuel gives this offense. So They have Debo as their motion man. They have Debo as the get the ball out quick against into the face of pressure man. So that might be Ray McCloud for this week. So he's a kind of unsung hero potential piece for showdowns tonight.
Interesting stuff. Good stuff, my man High-Low. Definitely good to have the chance to fill in for Matthew today and hang out with you and get this good Monday morning information.
Yeah, man, that was a pleasure. And yeah, it was a pleasure to be on for the first time with you.
All right, there you go right there. Sportstopia.io website live. Go over there, check it out. Watch it on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button. Give you the new kids on the block a chance. And that contrarian edge optimizer is a milli maker winner. And it also helped my man Torres on a lower level put a little extra 2K in his pocket for your for your holiday cleaning up a little bit. You know what I'm saying? For High-Low Fantasy Football, it's Corey Parson, the fantasy executive. Sportstopia dramatic theme music. Here it is.